Hello and welcome to Narayana's Academy. We are starting with our daily news analysis for today, that is 14th April 2025. So before we start, we have a quote for you. Success only comes to those who dare to attempt, who take a chance, who take some risk and they go for it. But after going for it, they have to show some discipline, show some consistency, but at least make a choice to go for it, go for that struggle. So please remember that struggle is important for the success. Okay. Now, before we start, we have a notification from Narayana's Academy that our 1 year and 2 year courses are active. You can take the admission, you can go for the registration through this QR code which is available to you. And all the details regarding all these courses are available on our website, as well as here also you'll get all these details. Okay. Now moving on, as part of our daily news analysis, I picked up 4 important articles. One article is related to governor's conduct. Now, in recent times, governor is in news rather in controversies. In last 3, 4, 5 years, continuously we are observing, and in the last 1 year, governor is in news for all the wrong reasons. Especially the case of Tamil Nadu, wherein there were many bills passed by the state assembly which did not get any assent from the governor. And recently the case went to the Supreme Court and Supreme Court came up with some judgment. That's the reason we are dealing with this aspect of governor. We'll understand why do we need governor? What is the importance of this position of governor or office of governor in India's parliamentary democracy or quasi-federal democracy? Okay. Second article is about DRDO. So in Andhra Pradesh, recently DRDO has tested laser weapon system. Now we need to know what is this laser weapon system, how does it exactly work. Okay, that technical aspect is important. Third article is related to traditional varieties of seeds. In recent times, because of climate change, many industries, many sectors are getting affected. One of the major sector or segment which is getting affected is your agriculture sector. Okay, and in the agriculture, now we are going to talk about the seeds, specifically the traditional varieties of seeds. Now, these seeds are very important for us considering the climate change dimension. And the fourth article is related to India-Africa relationship. We are talking about an exercise, maritime engagement exercise between India and some of the African countries. Total 10 countries are involved in this exercise. So this one is also very important for us. So all these articles are highly important for prelims as well as mains. This governor article is highly important for mains, upcoming mains. Okay. So let's start with the first article of the day related to governor. Now you need to know about governor, you need to understand center-state relations in detail. You need to know the problems, the real problems that are going on. You need to know about the constitutional aspect. Okay. So this topic becomes important. Now you read this previous year question asked in the year 2018. Whether Supreme Court judgment can settle the political tussle between Lieutenant Governor and elected government of Delhi. Examine. Now, although here the question is specifically about Union Territory of Delhi, that's the reason the term Lieutenant Governor is coming into picture. But similar question can certainly be framed regarding the recent judgment by Supreme Court, which is with respect to Tamil Nadu Governor and the State Assembly. Okay, so a good question can be framed for 10 marks or 15 marks. Now, what is happening? Now, you can understand the importance of this article. So, what is exactly happening? I said there is this issue related to Tamil Nadu, but it's not the issue just about Tamil Nadu. In many parts of India, wherever we see opposition parties are ruling at the state level, there we see some tussle between governor and the state government. And this tussle is because of the party politics. So at the center we have BJP, at the state level, let's say there is any other opposition party ruling. So this party politics, the competition between parties is leading to some constitutional fights wherein governor is showing some kind of political bias towards the central government or towards the political party ruling at the central level. And because of this, the position of governor or office of governor is in news or is in controversies since last few months or a year. Okay. So now we are dealing with it because Supreme Court has given a judgment. And in this judgment, Supreme Court has specifically talked about the powers of governor under Article 200 and Article 201, which talks about presidential assent. Very clearly, Supreme Court has driven, or rather we can say, drawn a line which specifically talks about the powers of governor, that they cannot be silent, they cannot bring in some kind of constitutional deadlock, and they cannot become partisan, they cannot become loyal towards any party, or they cannot become agents of central government completely. So here we need to know what all is going on. So I said in recent times governor is in controversies. Many times what governors are doing, they are delaying the bills. See, whenever a bill is passed by the state assembly, it reaches to the governor. Governor can either give the assent, or let's say they can stop the assent. See here in the Article 200 you can see they can give the assent, they can withhold the assent, that means they'll say I will not sign it. They can reserve it for the presidential consideration, so they can send it to the president, or they can return the bill to the state assembly saying that there is some problem with it, can you please reconsider. Now this reconsideration part is allowed for all the bills except money bills, right? Now this provision is there under Article 200. But what these governors, most of the governors, what they are doing, especially with respect to states ruled by opposition parties, they are delaying the assent to the bills. They're going for some pocket veto. They're saying we'll sign it, but they're not doing any kind of action. So this is happening, or they are acting with partisanship. Partisanship means you are becoming party to someone, you are supporting one side. So here we are talking about partisanship with respect to the party that is in power at the central level. Then they are refusing to summon or prorogue state assemblies. This also incident happened many times. Now this is where the conflict comes into picture, wherein at the state level we have a government, we have parliamentary model, we have state assembly, we have elected government, and government wants to take some action, but governor is not allowing that action to be taken or creating some hurdles. Now specifically if we talk about Tamil Nadu case, in the last 2-3 years, especially 2021 to 23, Tamil Nadu State Assembly passed 10 legislations, 10 bills they passed. Okay. But after passing, when it reached to governor, governor did nothing. He did not take any action. Neither he gave assent, neither he withdrew assent, neither he considered it for reconsideration, neither he returned it for the reconsideration of the assembly, nor he sent it to the president. He did nothing. So after observing all this, what Tamil Nadu Assembly had done is they repassed the bill. They repassed the same bill in the state assembly, and with majority all these 10 bills were passed. And this time when these bills reached to the governor, now what he did, he said, I want this bill to be considered by the president. So he sent all these bills to the president. Now when all these things were happening, Supreme Court came into picture. The case went to Supreme Court. And now Supreme Court has given a judgment saying that whatever governor has done in this particular case of Tamil Nadu, it is completely unconstitutional. If you wanted to reserve it for the presidential consideration, you should have done it earlier. You should have done it when first time you got those bills, not on the second time. Okay. So all this was considered unconstitutional. Now, because we are dealing with the office of governor, we should know briefly about this office, about the origin of this office. So in India, we see the roots of this governorial office, or we can say the office of governor, in the British time period. So if you see, there's this act, Government of India Act 1858. Now this act came into picture after this revolt of 1857. Now that 1857 revolt was something which created a fear in the minds of Britishers, and at that time all the power of the East India Company was taken over by the British Crown. So British Crown took the complete responsibility or direct control of the Indian territory. Now under this act, there was a position called Governor General at the central level, and under the supervision of Governor General, there were governors which were acting at provinces. And here we see governor's position becoming important because governor was having direct control. Then there came this Government of India Act 1919, Government of India Act 1935. Now, if you see the chronology, you'll observe that these acts were supposed to give more representation to Indians, then more autonomy to the provinces. But if you see, even if that thing happened in 1919 Act, there was some representation given to Indians. In 1935 Act, some provincial autonomy was certainly given. But you can't neglect one aspect, that governor was still powerful. Governor was still having some discretionary powers. Okay, so these are the historical roots of office of governor. Now, when this India's freedom struggle was going on against this colonial or British rule, at that time also when Indians came up with their idea of independent India or their idea of Swaraj or to make some kind of draft constitution, when they brought a new idea of political system for India, in that idea also they had thought about the position of governor. So to give you examples, we have this Commonwealth of India Bill of 1925, or we have this Nehru Report of 1928, or we have this Constitution of Hindustan Free State Act. If you look at all these, see, all these were made by Indians. If you read all these three different documents, you will understand that there is a position of governor which is clearly mentioned. Considering the size and diversity of India, it was expected that India should have some position like governor at the state level or provincial level. Okay, so now you can understand briefly that this office exists since a long time and it has some roots in the British era as well as Indian freedom struggle. Now, when Indians thought that we will have our own constitution, we are going to make it, so that Constituent Assembly was made. In the Constituent Assembly, the debate was going on whether we should have this position of governor in India or not. And if we should have it, then what kind of governorship we need? Should we elect the governor directly, just like we are electing President of United States or governor in United States? Now, this is something we had to think about. So, first thing was whether we should have elected governor or nominated governor. This is something we need to think about. Okay. So the debate went on. In that debate, initial preference was being given to elected governorship. So many members of the Constituent Assembly, they thought that it is better if we have governors who are directly elected by the people, or directly elect or indirectly elect. At least they should be elected because they represent people. So this was thought in the first attempt. But later on, especially considering the event of partition, that changed the minds of every person over here, especially the Constituent Assembly. So if I specifically talk about Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, he saw this event of partition as something which was very horrible for India. And if we have elected governorship, then this will open up doors for more partitions, more events of separatism. So he clearly said that an elected governor would encourage separatist tendencies. So partition is something we can say that one of the most important event that has shaped our constitution. That is one of the major reasons why in India we have central government which is way more powerful than the state government to some extent. We have emergency powers given to the central government which override the state autonomy. Okay, so although India is a federal country, we have federal structure, we have state government, we have central government, we have even this Panchayati Raj and local urban bodies, but still the power is more tilted towards the center, right? So by the time the final consensus came in the Constituent Assembly, it was decided that we will have a nominated governor instead of elected one, and this nominated governor, he or she will be nominated by the president of India. Okay, and this governor is supposed to act as a federal link, a symbol of federal link. So we have central government, we have state government, and to link these two governments, that linking part, that linking symbol should be your governor. Okay, and he was supposed to be a non-partisan constitutional head. Now, just like at the central level, we have President of India, who is a constitutional head, right? Similarly, it was expected that governor will be a constitutional head, and most importantly, a non-partisan. Non-partisan means you will not have any loyalty towards any political party or even center or state as such. Okay, you'll be a very neutral kind of a person. Now, here, this part is something we see very much contentious at this moment, because we don't observe this non-partisanship in the governors, right? And one more thing, safeguarding autonomy. So there were some members in the Constituent Assembly, like Rohini Kumar Chaudhary. She said that this is not a good idea. When you are nominating governor, you means central government is nominating. So there is some interference of central government over here, and this will lead to some kind of clashes between state government and the central government, or rather state government and the governor, right? So this is something which she said right now we are observing in a practical. Okay. Although the consensus came that this is how we will have a position. At that time, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, what he said about this position of governor is not going to act at his or her own will. Governor is not going to act completely independently as such. Rather, he has to act on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers at the state level. And wherever he is having his own will or some kind of discretionary power, that discretionary power is limited. Okay, this discretionary power will be limited by the constitution. So constitution has to mention exactly in which aspects or exactly at what point of time you will have some discretion. So governor is not going to become a person with absolute powers as such. Okay, now this was the broad idea. Now if we see the constitution, if we read the articles, you see article 153 to 162, 163, 200. I already discussed this. This 163 clearly talks about this point, that aid and advice of the Council of Ministers is important, right? Now, if we go further, if we see what kind of issues we are facing right now, so there are these persistent issues with respect to the office of governor. First, politicization of the post, that party politics is going on. And here, many a times, these governors are considered to be political appointees. Central government has appointed someone for their own politics. This is how it is being perceived, especially if you see Kerala, West Bengal, Tamil Nadu, in these states where opposition party is ruling. So there are allegations that this governor is behaving in a biased manner, right? Then misuse of discretionary power. You see, governor has got some discretionary powers under article 163, although he was supposed to be run on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers, but still he has some discretionary powers. Now the point is, it was expected that these discretionary powers will be limited, but nobody has codified nobody has codified these discretionary powers. So when your powers are not written at one place, what will happen? You'll assume that you have all the power. So because there is no codification, that's the reason there is more discretionary power lying with the governor and they are misusing it. Okay. Then erosion of federalism. As I said, we have a federal structure. We expect the federal structures to cooperate. We talk about this idea of cooperative federalism. But rather, we don't see cooperative federalism when such things are happening. When governor is misusing his power, in that case, we don't see cooperative federalism. We see some kind of combat taking place, right? And what about the accountability? Now, this is very important. You see, we have a parliamentary setup. Why we have parliamentary setup? Because we want the representatives, the government, to be completely responsible to the people. So our elected government, those people are the MLAs or MPs coming from the parliamentary setup, that is the legislature, and they are responsible to the legislature. Otherwise, they lose the majority. Whatever they do, they have to give answers. Now the problem is governor is not elected, so he is not accountable. And in democracy, we expect this accountability and responsibility aspect. Governor is an appointed, not elected, and he enjoys this immunity under Article 361. Right? Now, what happened in the recent case, Tamil Nadu case? I said that the case went to the Supreme Court, and Supreme Court has recently said that whatever governor did in this Tamil Nadu case is completely unconstitutional. Now, few things Supreme Court has clearly mentioned. First, you can't indefinitely delay your bills under 200, Article 200. You're supposed to take action as soon as possible. As soon as possible means there is some urgency. You can't indefinitely delay it for as long as you want to. There's no pocket veto. You don't have a pocket veto as such. Pocket veto means you're putting your hands in the pocket and saying, I'll sign it. I'll do some action, but you're not taking any action. Such kind of thing is not allowed. And because Supreme Court observed this kind of misuse, court came up with some fixed timelines for government. So for example, if you want to grant or withhold assent for any bill or any cabinet advice, you have 1 month time. If you want to return a bill with reasons to the assembly, you have 3 months time. Similarly, if you want to reserve it for presidential consideration, you have 3 months. And if you want that this bill which is repassed, then in that case you have to give the mandatory assent to that bill. If the assembly has repassed the bill, you have to give the assent, that too within 1 month. Okay, so such timelines are provided by Supreme Court, and court clearly said few things. Once it is repassed, you have to give the assent, right? And in this particular case, the recent Tamil Nadu case, because it was repassed, all the 10 bills were repassed by the state assembly. Court said that we deem to have it received assent. That means we assume that it has already got the assent. Now these 10 bills are laws. And after that, after this judgment, the state government or the chief minister issued a gazette notification rather. And through this gazette notification, now these 10 laws are clearly available to us. Okay. So overall, what I want to convey through this, or rather Supreme Court has conveyed, is some constitutional morality needs to be shown by the governors. Okay, and they are constitutional head, friend, philosopher, and guide. So this is very important statement given by Supreme Court. Now, why these governors still exist in India? Why do they still exist? First thing, they act as a link between union and states. Because we have this federal structure, we need governor. This is one argument. Second, they are ceremonial head and constitutional guardians. So they are just, their position is ceremonial. They are not elected, they are not so accountable as such. Their position is symbolic only. Why do we exactly need such symbolic position? Because sometimes there could be some cases wherein emergency situation is there. For example, there is hung assembly. No party is having any clear-cut majority to form government. In that case, you have to run the state somehow. Okay, so let's say there is president rule over there or governor is ruling somehow. So that is very important. You are coming up with an acting chief minister or something, but you need governor at that point of time. Let's say there's a bill which needs to be reserved. Who will do that? So you need governor. So for such important stuffs you need. And in case of emergency situations, especially with respect to Article 356, especially with respect to presidential rule, especially with respect to the time when constitutional machinery has failed. You look at the situation in Manipur, you look at the situation whenever the constitutional machinery is not working in a state. You need someone from the center to be present over there, okay, and take the charge. So considering those points, we have governor still existing in India. Now, what else we need to do then? Although Supreme Court has given the judgment, but still we have some committees which recommended few things. Like we have Sarkaria Commission in 1988, they suggested that governor should always act on aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. Now this is very important. Similar thing was said by Punchi Commission also. They suggested even a timeline for governor to decide on bills. Now this is the same thing which Supreme Court has done right now. That Supreme Court has given the timeline now. Okay. Even they said that the appointment of governor should be of a way that is apolitical. That means you should bring a person who is not having any political mandate or political leaning towards someone. Such person should be made governor, and this governor should not act as an extension of center rather. Okay. Now even similar things are said by Supreme Court in many judgments. You read the judgment in Shamsher Singh versus State of Punjab. Governor must act on aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. You read Nabam Rabia versus Deputy Speaker 2016. In this judgment, Supreme Court clearly said that governor's discretionary power is limited and the governor should respect the majority in the assembly. So when the Tamil Nadu case, if you see, when Tamil Nadu government is passing the bills, legislature is passing the bills, governor is expected to respect that majority, respect the democratic element. And then we have this State of Punjab versus Principal Secretary to the Governor of Punjab 2023. In this case, court said that Article 200 does not grant independent power to the governor. Again, act on the aid and advice of the Council of Ministers. Clear? So this is all about the issue of this governor or the recommendations given with respect to governor. What we can frame as an answer as a way forward in this particular scene, because a direct question can be expected in the mains. So you might need to write down some key recommendations on your own. So for example, we can say, first of all, please codify these timelines. Codify means already Supreme Court has given. You can codify. You can come up with a law mentioning exact timeline. Now that will be a better way, right? Second, you can mandate consultation with the Chief Minister whenever a governor is being appointed. So the tussle that is there or the fight that is happening, that fight you will not see because already you have consulted state government, right? Then establish a non-political bipartisan appointment mechanism. Now, just like we have UPSC for the appointment of civil servants, or rather at least choosing the civil servants. Similar kind of mechanism we can bring in, non-political and bipartisan appointment mechanism. That would be a better way. Publish a governor's code of conduct and convention manual. So there should be a code of conduct which governors are expected to follow. You can bring that. And implement the recommendations of Sarkari and Punchi Commission. These can be your way forward, and this is how we completely clear, or we can say that we have completely and comprehensively covered this entire issue of governor. Done? Now, heading towards the second topic of the day. This one is related to the new laser weapon system tested by DRDO. This one is important for your prelims as well as mains, GS paper 3. You can read this previous year question asked in the year 2014. I'll give you a few seconds. Please read this question so that you can get an idea of what kind of questions UPSC asks. Okay, please read. Done? Now this question focuses on Agni 4 missile, right? Similar question can be expected on this laser weapon system. Now see, DRDO has tested, very recently tested this kind of a system. Okay. Now this one is tested in Andhra Pradesh, Kurnool in Andhra Pradesh. There is this national open air range. There it has been tested. Now we want to know what is this exactly. The name over here given is 30 kilowatt MK2A laser directed energy weapon. In short, they call it laser DEW system, right? So we want to know what is it exactly. In simple terms, I can say that here we are trying to make use of light. We are making a beam of light where light is concentrated at one place, and this concentrated light is acting as a weapon. If you have ever seen this thing in any movie or If you observe, if you take a torch, the light is scattering. But if you just try to bring that all light at one position, concentrate it, then it becomes very powerful. Same thing is happening over here. This concentrated beam of light is said to be your laser. And we are using this laser, using this kind of equipment, we are using the laser and we are attacking enemies. So let's say there is a drone which is flying, any aircraft which is flying, or anything. Instead of using your normal weapons, any bullets, any missiles, we can alternatively use this laser directed energy weapon system. Okay. Now the system is very interesting. First of all, this high power laser beam, it is going to travel at the speed of light. At the speed of light. That means as soon as you start it, the enemy is at whatever distance. In microseconds, the enemy will not be even able to understand what is happening, and this beam of light is going to affect it or destroy it completely. So it is traveling at speed of light, so you can't even understand what's happening, right? The speed is very high. Then it generates extreme heat, and because of this extreme heat, first of all, either some parts of that object will be destroyed, structural failure will be there, or if there are some sensors, some metals, that will be destroyed, or even the entire stuff, entire, let's say there's a helicopter, that entire helicopter or drone will be destroyed completely because of this extreme heat. Now few important things that we should know about this MK2A laser DEW system. First of all, DRDO has developed it. So it is indigenously designed and developed. We should be proud of it, right? Second, it has electro-optic and radar-based targeting system. So they're going to make use of radar system. So they'll send some radio waves, and the radio waves will go, and then they will collide with something and come back, and through this there will be communication. Through this they will understand that there is this target, right? And they're using electro-optic. Optic means the light part. Electro means electronic part. So in this you will observe there will be infrared camera, visible light camera, laser rangefinder, target designator, etc., etc. Such components will be there. And because of all these things, you will see that this system will have very accurate or precise working. So wherever the target is, this is going to attack it very precisely. Okay, this is very important. So it can destroy UAVs, that is drones, missiles, projectiles, etc. Multiple drone attacks. If there is an attack through multiple drones, all that can be attacked using the same system. So this is very interesting. Now, why do we like this system? Why we are looking at this system? Why are we not using any traditional missiles or bullets? Why we are going towards this? The reason is, first of all, the speed and precision is very high. Speed of light, precision is very high, very accurate. This is very good. Second, it is cost effective. See, for any missile, you need many things. For even normal bullets, if you're using or something, some fuel or something will be required, that cost very high. In case of this laser system, you just need few liters of petrol. Just few liters of petrol. That's why we are calling it cost effective. Then when you use any missile or any bomb or any other weapon, most of the time we observe that there will be some collateral damage. That means you're attacking this person, but there will be some people around, some civilians or something around that will also get affected. But in this case, because it is very precise, wherever you want to send this beam of light, it will go there. So there will be very less collateral damage, right? And no physical ammunition required. You don't need any bullets or anything like that. You just need some petrol. And it is silent and stealthy. It is silent. You're not getting any noise as such, and most importantly, your enemy will not be able to find out from where this beam is coming. The enemy will be frustrated when you are using such weapons. So we have some stealth technology involved in this. Now, what is the importance or significance of this kind of a thing, or this weapon? First of all, India becomes part of an elite club because of this system. Very few countries are having such system. For example, we have United States, China, Israel, Russia. Only these countries have such system, laser weapon system. And now India is part of this elite club. Second, for our border security, such system is highly important. Then it supports our Atmanirbhar Bharat Abhiyan, right? Because we have indigenously designed and developed it. And it's a future ready defense system. See, the warfare that we see right now, or the next generation warfare, the future warfare, it will not be a direct combat between two different soldiers. Rather, there will be combat without any contact. People will not have any direct contact, still there will be fighting. So such next generation warfare requires such laser weapon systems. Okay, and one important fact that you should know is about this Center for High Energy Systems and Sciences. This weapon system, this laser weapon system MK2A, which is developed by DRDO, it is developed at DRDO's lab. The name of that lab is Center for High Energy Systems and Sciences. In short, we call it CHESS. Okay, and its headquarters is located in Hyderabad, Telangana. So this part you should know, and this institution or this agency is important. They play a key role in laser systems, beam control technologies, and high energy applications for our military. Okay, good. We're done with two articles. We're left with two. Now the third article related to traditional seeds. So we're talking about traditional seeds. You should have a brief idea about that. For prelims as well as mains, this article becomes important. I suggest you to read this entire question so that you can understand that some questions related to seeds are also asked by UPSC. Okay, please read. I'll give you 5-10 seconds. Done? So let's move ahead. We can understand that there's a question on seed village. There can be a question on traditional varieties of seeds, right? So what is happening? In recent times, there's a problem of climate change. Because of climate change, agriculture is getting affected. So in this time period, we are thinking about traditional seed varieties, because traditional seed varieties, we are not focusing on them. We are focusing on the hybrid varieties or high yielding varieties of seeds. Even government is giving MSP and all that. So even market focuses more on these seeds rather than traditional ones. So the article talks about these traditional seeds, how they are important for us. First of all, these traditional seeds, they are often drought resistant, flood tolerant, and they are suited for your local agroclimatic condition. If you look at India, different areas have different climatic conditions. We call these agroclimatic conditions. And according to that agroclimatic conditions, you should grow the plants, you should go for your agriculture. So here we are saying you should think about traditional seeds because they are well suited for this local agroclimatic environment or condition. And most importantly, these seeds are very nutritious. There is some nutritional diversity. See, if you just focus on one specific kind of wheat, one specific kind of rice, how are you going to get the nutrition in a diverse manner? You need carbohydrates, fats, you need vitamins, all these things. How are you going to get that if you just follow one particular thing? So for diversity you need it, for sustainable agriculture you need it. And here I can give you some examples. Let's say we are taking the example of rice. In rice, there are so many varieties. If we talk about some traditional seeds in rice, so there's something called kaga in Karnataka. Now, this is salinity tolerant rice variety. So, even if the water is saline, it will work. We have Navara from Kerala. It has medicinal properties. Kala Jira in Odisha, it is aromatic. Similarly, there are varieties of millets, pulses, beet, etc. So in wheat, we have this Bansi variety. So all these are good examples of these traditional seeds which are important, which are relevant for us today. And as I said, there's some problem. There's a market bias. There is bias of the market. Demand and supply side, if you see, there's a bias towards some kind of seeds which we call high yielding rice or high yielding wheat varieties and not the traditional one. Second, we don't have enough infrastructure to conserve this. So even if we have some seeds, we don't have seed banks. So that is a problem. Or there is poor conservation funding coming to this traditional seed variety people or producers. Now, we have some preservation practices which we should know. Now, this is a different dimension altogether. In India, in some areas, we have seed preservation practices, traditional seed preservation practices. One of that which comes from northeastern part of India. So there we have this seed exchange rituals like this Akhuni in Nagaland, Chaitra Sankranti in Assam, etc. Similarly, in other states also you will observe some or the other methods through which these seeds are preserved. You can read this part. Okay, it's very factual, nothing to explain as such. So, as a way forward, what we can say is we need some policy support. We need to expand our MSP and we should provide some MSP to these traditional seed varieties also. In the public procurement, you should have some subsidies. Then infrastructure is needed, seed procurement for, let's say, for preservation. So their government can do something. For the market, we need some awareness in the people. Just from supply side, from demand side, if both sides understand the importance of these traditional seeds, then you will see better things. And we need some research also for the preservation also, and to understand how we can shift towards these yield, shift from yield centric models to the resilience and biodiversity focused research. Now why I'm saying this is because when you focus on the high yield variety seeds, it is economically very good. You will get a lot of production, economically very good, cost effective, very good. But the point is, it is harming your environment, it is harming the ecosystem. But when you talk about traditional seeds, they don't harm environment. They are environment friendly. Okay. This was about the third article. Now the fourth article of the day. India, Africa, maritime engagement. Now see, this article is relevant more for prelims than mains, but for mains also, if there is any question directly on India-Africa relations, in that one dimension could be your maritime exercises which we are conducting, which shows our cooperation. Okay, so for prelims this exercise is directly important, for mains it is indirectly important. Now you can read this previous year question asked in the year 2017. Again, for your understanding that how this article is becoming important for us, because we see the relevance in the previous year questions. Yes, consider the following statements with respect to Indian Ocean Naval Symposium. Similar thing is in news, right? Now see, we have this Africa India Key Maritime Engagement, AIKEYME, such a long name is there. And first of all, we are observing such kind of engagement. So there's some military exercise which is going on, which has started on April 13th. Where is that started? In Tanzania. In Tanzania, there's a place called Dar es Salaam. So here we observe this kind of exercise taking place. Now here, the focus is on few things. One of that thing is maritime cooperation. So India and some of the African countries. Which countries? We have a list of 10 countries. Tanzania, see, apart from India, we have Tanzania, Comoros, Djibouti, Kenya, Madagascar, Mauritius, Mozambique, Seychelles, and South Africa. Please read these participants. You should know about them. Very factual, but you should know about it. So in these countries, there will be cooperation on maritime sphere. There will be collaborative solutions to regional maritime challenges. So any problem all these countries are facing, they'll try to find solution for that. Let's say in the Indian Ocean or in the Indo-Pacific region, there we see a problem of piracy. So all these countries, they'll come up with a collaborative solution for the piracy. So any other challenge could be there. For that, they'll come up with some solution. Then when the navies of all these countries are trying to collaborate, cooperate, they need interoperability. They have to communicate, they have to use each other's resources, so that interoperability is required. So that is being improved. Joint operational synergy, that means if these countries are coming together and going for an operation, they should do it. It should become possible. For that, they are practicing over here in this exercise. So this exercise is being conducted in two different phases. First phase is called as harbor phase. Second phase is called as sea phase. See, in harbor phase, they are going to practice many things. And in the sea phase, they are actually trying to conduct some kind of mock drill. So in harbor phase, you'll see exercises on piracy response, information sharing sessions, training sessions. So training is taking place. And here they are doing the practical part. Search and rescue drills, small arm firing, helicopter operations, etc. Okay. Now, as far as India is concerned, India's major naval assets which are involved in this exercise are INS Chennai, INS Kesari, INS Sunanya. Okay. And this exercise is being held from April 13th to April 18th. And this exercise shows India an important path towards its Indo-Pacific strategy. As part of our Indo-Pacific strategy, we have this Sagar initiative, we have this Mahasagar initiative. So under this initiative, we are getting into such exercises. Okay. So that's how this article becomes important and relevant for us. Now, the time comes for practice questions, prelims practice questions and mains practice questions. First, this mains practice question. Please read this question and try to frame the answer. I'll give you free few seconds, 10 seconds let's say. Please try to frame the answer. Done? So here the question is, in the context of recent Supreme Court verdict prescribing time-bound action under Article 200, critically examine the role of governor in India's federal structure. Do you think the office of governor requires urgent constitutional and institutional reforms? So you have to talk about some reforms over here directly, right? Now, first of all, introduce the topic, talk about the importance of the position of governor, or you can say that these are the articles under which governor has some powers. You can talk about the recent context considering the Supreme Court judgment, right? After that, talk about the constitutional role of the governor. Mention the constitutional articles like this Article 200. Mention it. Then talk about the Supreme Court's verdict, the recent verdict. You can mention the name of the case and you can mention what the court has said very specifically. And then these critical issues in governor's role. So all those issues which we discussed, politicization, discretionary power, accountability issue, etc. And then need for urgent reforms. What kind of reforms? The way forward that I discussed. That will be here. Okay. And this is how you can say that the position of governor is very important, and this is how you can conclude it. Okay. Now, some of the questions from yesterday's daily news analysis. I'll give you the answers directly. Okay. So, this question on TB diagnosis. First statement was wrong. It was talking about different temperatures, rather it requires single temperature. Second statement is right. Third statement, it says that WHO has approved it. The real point is WHO has not approved it. So this is wrong. Only 2 is the right answer. Next question with respect to Article 200. Governor can withhold assent to a bill and return it to the legislature with suggestions. So the governor can withhold assent to a bill and return it to the legislature with suggestions. Yes, it can do that. If a bill is repassed by the state legislature after reconsideration, the governor is not bound to assent. No, governor has to give assent, right? Governor may reserve any bill for the president's consideration without restrictions. No, there are restrictions, there are constitutional limits. So only one is the right answer. Now, these are the questions from today's articles. Now, this is a homework for you people. You can use the link given in the description box and attempt these questions. Please attempt these questions. Okay, you'll get the answers directly on the website, or Tomorrow we'll discuss the answers in the daily news analysis session. So please pause the screen, read the question and attempt it. First question on traditional seed varieties. Second question on India-Africa key maritime engagement. Pause the screen and attempt it. And the last question on this laser directed energy weapon system. Again, pause the screen and please attempt the question. Okay, we'll meet in the next session. Thank you so much for joining.